This is a showbizradio.net review of Hedda Gabler, performed by the Elden Street Players in Herndon, Virginia. Mike and I saw the opening night performance Friday, January 25th, 2008. This is Laura.
And this is Mike, and this was a superbly acted show. All 7 performers did a great job in their roles. The main character, Hedda Gabler, just is such a witch. I just didn't understand what the attraction was there for her. And other than her being just seemingly supremely evil, it was an interesting show.
Yes, this show was very well acted. I could just feel the tension every time Hedda walked into the room. The hairs on the back of my neck stood up. She was nuts, needed some serious counseling, and I think the way the story ended was the only thing that could happen in her case.
Hedda Gabler is a play written by Henrik Ibsen, published in 1890. The play follows the life of Hedda Gabler, who has just gotten married and returned from her honeymoon to discover that her new husband's position as a professor is at risk because of a former academic rival. Hedda is disappointed and frustrated that her life won't be a life of ease, but instead will be very much a middle-class existence. So she plots and schemes and twists everybody that she comes into contact with and ends up destroying many other lives, including her own.
Hedda Gabler was played by Karen Jadlaw Schatz. She did an incredible job. She totally became her character. When she walked out on stage, there was just something about her that you were like, this woman is not all there.
Hedda Gabler was just such a bizarre person. There was nothing redeeming about her character, and I don't know what they could have done, but she was so inwardly focused on herself, and she was so willing and able to destroy the people around her. Their relationships and just the taunting. She was kind of, one of my notes I wrote down was she was a bully. And she bullied especially her friend Thea and her husband George.
Hedda's husband, George Tessman, was played by Ted Culler. He was a big old lovable doormat. He really had no idea what was going on. He was focused on his research and his becoming a professor. Wasn't quite into relationships or that kind of thing, but he was just very kind and actually not too bright.
I don't know if I would say he wasn't bright. He was bright enough to become an author and maybe a professor and a doctor. He did get his doctorate, which was a big deal. He just didn't seem to have much people sense. And I'm wondering how he and Hedda got married. Was it an arranged marriage? What was that relationship? Because there was obviously no love from her, and he just couldn't see that at all. And she couldn't identify with him and his relationship with his aunt. So it was just really bizarre seeing the two of them together, and he was walked over by her.
Thea Elvstad, who was actually a school friend of Hedda, was played by Laura Russell. She was just so sweet and innocent. I really liked her character. I felt sorry for her, and when it became apparent to me that Hedda was off her rocker, I just wanted Thea to run out of the house screaming. Unfortunately, she didn't.
Thea was an interesting contrast. She was strong enough to leave her husband for Loveberg, but she wasn't strong enough to stand up to Hedda. I think there was a bit of intimidation there dating back to their school days together. It was also interesting that Thea, at the end of the show after Loveberg's death, that she so quickly turned her attention to recreating his manuscript. It was like an on-off switch that both she and George did. We can get focused on this. And obviously you could see a little bit of foreshadowing that maybe a relationship would form between the two of them.
Eilert Lovborg was played by Nader Tavangar. He did an outstanding job. He was just so believable. I really felt for him and his anguish. His emotions when he thought he had lost the manuscript were just so real and so heartfelt. I just really enjoyed his performance.
Yeah, definitely. He's going to be someone we need to keep our eye on because he was great in Intimate Apparel a few months ago at Little Theater of Alexandria. He did a great job in this show. It'll be interesting to see what he does next. Judge Brack was played by Al Fetsky. The judge helped Tessman get the house and arranged the financing. He also helped Aunt Julie with the financing of the furniture for the Tessmans. So he started out the show as being very much a good guy, very helpful. But as the show progressed, you could see kind of the plans in his head. In the final scene, he had pretty much gone all the way around to the other way of just doing what he could so that he could own and he could use Hedda for his own purposes. So by the end of the show, I was thinking he was very similar to Hedda in that he was using people for what he could get out of them. So it'd be interesting to see what would have happened later with the financial problems of the Tessmans and Aunt Julie. He came across not as menacing, but very diabolical, and I think his portrayal was pretty good.
And then two other people that had smaller roles but were still very well acted and enjoyed their performance was Miss Juliana Tessman, who was George's aunt, played by Carlos Scopoletis, and Berta the housekeeper, played by Rosemary Hartman. They both did really good job. It was obvious that Juliana and Hedda did not get along. Juliana wanted Hedda just to stay home and have children, and that wasn't quite in Hedda's plan. So there was a lot of tension there. And then Berta the housekeeper was just nervous and wanting to please the mistress of the house and always afraid she was going to do something wrong.
I liked the set. It was the living room of the Tessman household. It was designed by Al Fetsky. There were lots of small touches in it, such as there were bars around the doors. I liked the lighting that came in through the French doors when the curtains were opened, and it showed some more crisscross patterns of the panes, making yet another set of bars. And then there were some lights coming in from above. The lighting was designed by Ken and Patty Crowley, and there was a set of shadows on the back wall that was a complex crisscross pattern. So everything about the house really screamed out that it was a jail and that Hedda was in jail. So I liked that a lot. There was a special effect done near the end of the show that I wasn't expecting, and that was very nicely done as well.
Hedda Gabler lasted about 2 hours and 45 minutes with one intermission. There is gunfire during the performance. It is playing through Saturday, February the 16th at the Industrial Strength Theater in Herndon, Virginia, Friday and Saturdays at 8, and select Thursday and Sundays as well.
We'd like to invite you to join our free mailing list. Stay informed on community theater happenings in the D.C. region. Simply go to showbizradio.net/subscribe.
And now, on with the show.